taking care of your regulatory compliances, right? With all this security infrastructure, okay, you have to ensure that whether you are compliant to the regulatory compliances. Now talking of all these things, now whenever you think of putting so much of security, right? Okay, usually you try to lose on your connectivity, right? Maybe your connectivity gets slower or whatever, or the productivity. So there are these three aspects any organization would expect. That is the security, the connectivity, and the productivity. Now, anyone should not get off balance, right? So when we talk of so much of productivity and connectivity, okay, we should not bottleneck the security aspect of it. In fact, I would say there should be a balance between all these three things: security, productivity, as well as connectivity. Now how does a next generation UTM can help? Now, before that, what is the industry offering? Like, just to tell you, like, of course, we are working in a competitive environment wherein there are so many things which are around. Of course, there are traditional firewall which has maybe a VPN or a IPS capability. There are, of course, a lot of UTMs or Unified Threat Management solutions which are available. Okay, now this is the new thing, NGFW, that is the next generation firewall, right? So this is a new thing. Now, various point solutions are there. That means a separate solution for maybe a web filtering, separate solution for your antivirus, separate solution for anti-spam kind of thing. Now I would like to ask this question: how NGFW is different from a UTM? Okay, so we are talking of something which is new. Everyone is trying to put a focus on something called as next generation firewall, right? Now, if I tell you just a bit of history, now there were, of course, the traditional firewalls which had a VPN capability and maybe a different IPS or a IPS inbuilt. Now then came something, a concept called as UTM. Now UTM came with a concept wherein it started giving everything on a single box. So you can say an integrated security approach, right? Now next generation firewall is basically a new thing or a new term coin, I would say, wherein it says that, okay, it is that same traditional firewall, but then it also gives you application visibility, and of course it can also take care of malwares. So basically, what is all these things? Why so much of confusion? So that's basically the question. Is it just creation of a common playground? So I think NG firewall, I would say, is maybe not more than a UTM. In fact, it is less than that. So NG firewall is basically something, as I said, which gives you a firewall, but it also gives you application visibility as well as antivirus, anti-malware. That's what a next generation firewall talks about, right? Now UTM, of course, there are so many UTM available, but then here I would like to distinguish something called as a next generation UTM. Again, whenever you have a UTM, you have this flexibility of to choose. So you can have all these threat protection features as per your choice. It can be intrusion prevention system, right? So intrusion prevention system, of course, the gateway antivirus, anti-spyware, the gateway anti-spam, and the just a minute, and of course web and content filtering would be another aspect of it. Bandwidth management given by most of the UTMs. There is something called as multi-link management. Now the best point in UTM is that it gives you this flexibility of choice, right? You can choose from various whatever is needed, whatever is not needed. So basically you can always get a next generation firewall from a UTM. Maybe you buy a certain thing and the certain things you don't buy. So you can always make a kind of a bouquet, and any UTM which is giving you a speed, or any futuristic UTM, I would say, which is taking care of that gigabit or high speed internet which is coming, which would take the the kind of explosion, what the device explosion which is happening, right? Users bringing in so many devices, right? So the same network now is having more load in terms of people bringing in their own devices. So any UTM which is taking care of that, of course, definitely you can call it a next generation firewall. Now, CyberOhm is of course one of the UTMs, and we say that we are an identity based UTM. In fact, that's one of the USP of CyberOhm, because we believe that the insider threat, okay, is more dangerous, or it can be exploited more often. So having a good look at your insider is always better for a border or a gateway level security. Now, before I think I should talk about advanced security features also, right? For example, a control wherein I can say instant messaging control, wherein over and above just allowing and blocking of IMs, I can even basically control who can chat with whom, or I can control whether you can do a file transfer or not, or whether I allow a webcam or not. Or the web application firewall, right? We talked about the defacement of website. So web application firewall becomes a very important part of a gateway level protection, because it would protect you against that vast vulnerabilities, and it should ideally have a positive protection model so that it can work in offline web application like intranet, right? So or you go to a defense kind of organization where there is a thin gap internet. That means there is no internet available to most of the network. The 90% of the network is not on internet. So even in that case, if there is a web application, something like an intranet, or it can be some internal site, right? Even that can be protected if you have a positive protection model, right? Positive protection model means that you are not working on the blacklisting method, where you are referring to a signature table, but instead what you are doing is you are basically relying on your own learning what you do, right? So you know about good learning. So it's like you know who are good people and you block all the bad people. That's how positive protection model works. Now, again, this is the point I am stressing again and again, giving the due importance to the insider, because most of the security, the traditional security, work on the IP alone, right? So what we are trying to say here is that like if you have a dynamic IP environment, right, where IPs keep on changing. Now every here and there you see a Wi-Fi network. Wi-Fi network itself means that the IP keeps on changing for a user, right? So suppose for a CEO of the company, you want to give a policy that we don't want to block any websites for the CEO. Let him access all the websites, right? If I want to create this granular policy in a traditional system, I need to create this policy based on the IP address, right? So that's the like bad part, because if tomorrow or maybe a week later, if his IP gets changed, right, because of the DHCP or the Wi-Fi, what happens? That policy or that rule you created for his IP no longer makes any sense, right? So similarly, there can be shared desktop environment, right? Now I'm talking of a 24/7 call center where a single system is used by 3 different people working in 3 different shifts, right? So shared desktop environment where again there is nothing like an identity, right? So your system is your identity, which is actually wrong. So what I am trying to drive a point here is that identity, having an identity aware gateway device is very much important, right? So that you can actually know who is doing what in the network, right? That ability gives you to helps you to create more stringent policies, take care that nobody is exploiting your users' IT unawareness and try to gain access of the network. It would help you to create more granular policies, right? Now, just to summarize,